Hey, so today we're going to be talking about Nell Noddings. She is a theorist about the ethics of care and how that relates to education. She's a feminist writer, so she kind of does deliberately view things from a feminine point of view. Um, though, as we'll talk about, she does make room in her theories, of course, for male teachers. Um, so first I can talk about caring as a pedagogical approach. Like I said, she does take a feminine approach. So um, she believes that the nature of being a woman makes it so that caring is maybe a little bit more natural and less of a mental exercise, more of kind of an ingrained facet of who they are. She does circumvent the essentialist pitfall, the idea that because women are women, they think a certain way, or because men are men, they don't think a certain way. She circumvents this by saying that men can be included in this, though they may have to make a bit more of a mental effort to build those habits. If you can't see past the light, you'll see where it says caring starts at home. Um, what she means by that, and I do really appreciate this, she believes that caring is an activity that you learned what it is to care for and be cared about um, it through your experiences at home. So her perfect world teaching style um, does require a lot of resources to be spent um, in the home to guarantee both a loving environment and the material aspects to ensure health and well-being. She does make a difference between caring for and caring about. Caring for is it's a little bit more personal. So caring for is one-on-one and includes what she calls reciprocity. So, and this is again going back to the feminist approach. She sees a difference between sympathy and empathy, where where empathy is cognitively understanding the needs, the wants, and the feelings of others. Sympathy is not only understanding those, but also kind of using the thoughts, feelings of others as a motivator for further action. Again, with the feminist approach, she does see that empathy is more of a masculine trait and that sympathy would be more of a feminine trait. Though again, through moral education, this sympathy can be ingrained in all people, regardless of gender, and help us be better students, teachers, caregivers, and citizens in general. Caring about, though, instead of the process where you are sympathetic towards somebody, you demonstrate through action that you understand what they need, and that person consciously receives the care. And so those are the steps of caring about, or I'm sorry, caring for. Caring about is a little bit more informal. It's kind of a general feel. It's the difference between going over to somebody's house with a casserole and giving to the Salvation Army. Salvation Army would be more caring about. So she'll go on to say that you can't learn to care about someone until you learn to care for someone. So that is why we started from the specific and then went to the general, because you need that specific tool in order to be able to practice it more generally. Models and references. This comes from her book, The Ethics of Care, a feminist approach to ethics and moral education. So here we have the 4 steps of getting students to learn to care is modeling, practice, dialogue, and confirmation. And what we are going to do is go on this awesome site here. Here it is. And we're going to review those with these bullet points here that are conveniently made up for us. So modeling is pretty self-explanatory. It means that educators are going to demonstrate themselves what it means to care. So instead of just like, oh yeah, we're going to do character education and like learn what it is to care, like the teacher's actually going to act it out, which is cool. So with dialogue, we're going to, again, like, so the teacher kind of shows us what caring looks like with the modeling, and then the students are going to kind of form it in their own way, construct the knowledge in their own way through an open dialogue and through open discussion. And so once they've got that under wraps, then they are going to move on to practice, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's the I do part, if you will, of the you do, we do, I do, unless I got that backwards. And then confirmation, it's kind of like your reinforcement. So you're going to see what students are doing well, and then you're going to reinforce that. And then just kind of through the modeling, through the dialogue, everything being done in a reciprocal kind of nurturing framework, students will then use those tools to themselves, of course, be great citizens, and then move on to a home and start the process moving along anew with their children. So again, that is the presentation on Nell Noddings, and you can do a quick Google search of her for ethics of care. She also, what I appreciated was the feminist approach. I hadn't really thought that there would be like someone who would talk about gender differences in regards to teaching so openly, but it was really refreshing to hear her say that while this mode of being is accessible to all, it more naturally occurs on one side. And whether or not you agree with how she circumvents the essentialist notions, it was cool to see someone go out on a limb and say that. Anyway, hey, thanks for listening. Bye.